Only creating videos for 2 months, and already I nearly turned to the dark side of YouTube. That's right, you came so close to seeing this one titled, "That's It, I am done with Keanu," capital letters, triple exclamation points. In the end, I decided that not alienating my viewership was more important than cheap clicks. That's not to say I won't ever resort to baity titles. Never say never, after all. With the sketch on a sheet of arches, my chosen brushes assembled, and the newly poured M-gram watercolor palette at hand, the next step was laying down a base flesh tone that would serve as an underpainting for the entire head. That was the easiest part. The next stretch gave me the sweats, and not in a good way.
Behind my heart it dies, X and drifting memory that I couldn't keep on my vinyl. Afraid I, baby, my soul is sad, and I really don't wanna mess it up with you. You're my final, gotta fix it out.
The reference image was of a very young Keanu. I think it's from 1991's My Own Private Idaho. My original pencil sketch wasn't good, but I simplified it when tracing onto watercolor paper, which was an improvement. I used my new ultra-thin light pad for that part. Thank you, Art Fairy. The pre-edited painting footage came in at around 70 minutes, but while some might consider that an excellent adventure, others might see it as a bogus journey. So most of what you're seeing is at 3 times the speed, which, funnily enough, is the minimum number of times you need to watch that movie. With this piece, I became familiar with the easy lifting properties of some of these colors, which could be seen as either good or bad, depending on the situation. The reason I bring it up is because I did an unusual amount of lifting here, and it was both a surprise and a pleasure to have paints cooperate so well. No, I haven't tried all the brands, but so far I'm very happy with M-Gram's performance. My list of personal art challenges includes more portraits and male subjects. So with this piece, I was tackling 2 in 1. Unfortunately, with twice the challenge came twice the nerves. Confession time. I was nauseated by anxiety. There were times I thought I was gonna hurl. I mean, this isn't any Joe Blow. This is Ted Excellent Logan turned John Kill Them All Wick. It's hard to name a star more admired and loved than this guy. But all you can do is pump yourself up with empowering phrases such as, "I am too worthy," and "so what if it's a wreck? It's only paper. The expensive cotton kind, but still, only paper." My computer monitor was angled toward my workspace, affording a view of the reference image as I worked. Since colors and shadows are absent from the watercolor paper sketch, that was a necessary aid while painting. I was hoping to achieve a sort of Andrew Loomis look, and I think the closest I got was with the hair. Growing up, I constantly flipped through our edition of Creative Illustration by Andrew Loomis. It was quite the tome of an art book and a fascinating time capsule from the 1940s. Although dated in some ways, I highly recommend it if you're looking to improve your drawing. So while the painting process was 70 minutes, the project as a whole probably took about 3 hours. That's including the original sketch on drawing paper, tracing it onto watercolor paper, and then painting on that. If it's not clear why I do a first drawing, it's so that I can work out the lines on inexpensive paper. If I screw it up, I can toss it and start over. For me, watercolor paper is too precious to scrap over poor pencil work. By this point, I'd already decided some light sketch-like fine lining would provide the definition still needed. So where I would normally turn to an 05, I went with the 03 Pigma Micron. My application of blue colors was too timid. I really wish I'd been more liberal with that. The entire painting comes across as warm, which is fine, but my original intent was for a mix of both warm and cool. This was my first time using bleed-proof white. I applied it undiluted with my size 1 round brush, the same one I normally use for inking. When it started to dry out a bit on the brush and the palette, the barest amount of water made it thin and workable again. So it was easy to use, and I'm happy with the results.
Juste une faille dans mon cœur attend pour la peinture au mur et les bandes en cul nu. Juste une faille dans bleu épatant. Le stress est accru par l'envécu. Une feuille tombante, anxiété latente. Pas envie de recommencer ce qu'on foire et les parents, c'est bon, je l'ai vu cru, ça fait aïe, aïe. Moi, de toute façon, j'ai besoin de flow et dessus du temps. J'ai besoin d'être sûr que t'es la bonne pour me faire oublier toutes mes peurs et failles. Trop de failles, pas mon craille, non, trop de failles.
This is the finished piece with Keanu looking a little older than in the reference image. Somewhere between A Walk in the Clouds and The Matrix, perhaps. It actually looks more like the subject than my original pencil sketch. Thank goodness, because while it's far from perfect, it could have been so much worse. Like stained with a reappearance of that morning's crunchy honey oats and almond milk worse. The thing I'd like you to take away from this is challenge yourself. If there's something you want to paint but think you can't, give it a shot. Even fancy schmancy Arches cotton paper is only... Okay, let's figure this out. A 9x12 pad at $25 for 12 sheets comes to... wow, that's $2 per sheet. Well, we now know the real reason artists are starving. I'm happy to share this portrait project with you. Finally, after decades of watching his movies, I can say I am done with Keanu. Done with painting his portrait, that is. Until next time, be excellent to each other.